In my first video on this topic, I talked about why Bucky should have been given the mantle of Captain America. The thesis was more about the fact that it should have been Bucky than the idea that it shouldn't have been Sam Wilson. But of course, people hear what they want to hear. It's sort of like that meme where someone says, "I like oranges," and everyone else reacts by saying,
"Oh, so you hate mangoes?"
When Sam Wilson was given the shield in Endgame, everybody thought it should have gone to Bucky. It didn't have anything to do with race or any of the victim mentality that is sure to find its way to my comment section. It was about a character arc that made sense versus a character arc that just didn't. It was more about Bucky being more capable of being Captain America than anything else. No one suggested that Sam couldn't do it. It was just that he was less suited for the role. Then unfortunately, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out.
I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand?
This series fleshed out the Sam Wilson character, and it went a long way to proving that he was just not cut out to be Captain America. When the series came out, it was meant to change everyone's mind. It was meant as a response to all the fans who disagreed with Sam Wilson getting the shield. The series set out to prove that he deserved it. Unfortunately, it did the opposite.
You've got to do better, Senator.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out in 2021. It was being made during that unfortunate time between May 25th, 2020 and January 20th, 2021, when everyone was prioritizing race and social justice before everything else. Enter Malcolm Spellman. This dude wrote several episodes of the TV show Empire. He also worked on a show called Hip Hop Uncovered. In other words, he's made a career out of Afrocentric productions, and he certainly imposed his worldview as a black man all over the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Malcolm Spellman's whole thing is telling stories from a black perspective. His storytelling emphasizes the struggles of the black community, and that might have been the problem here. I'm just not sure that this story needed to be told from a black perspective. A superhero story should be for everyone, told to everyone, loved by everyone. But this show was all about lecturing people, showcasing the systematic systems or whatever. But that was the nature of movies and TV shows in this very specific time period. I think in the future it'll be really easy to spot any and all productions that came out between May 25th, 2020 and January 20th, 2025, and this one will be at the heart of it. I mean, really, let's start with Bucky Barnes. The show was called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but in spite of Bucky being a title character, his storyline was a complete throwaway. Bucky was still struggling with his past and his journey towards redemption, so he definitely deserved more screen time, but I can't recall a single thing about his story in this series. Why? Because that wasn't the point of the show. The entire point of the show was to prove to everyone that Sam deserved the shield, but instead of proving it by saying that Sam is good, they chose to prove it by saying that America is bad. And
racist.
I mean, let's talk about that bank loan scene. In spite of being an Avenger, Sam Wilson can't get a bank loan for his family business. This scene is supposed to showcase the everyday struggles of a black man in America. The loan officer is polite but dismissive. His attitude is supposed to show the treatment that black people endure on a daily basis. And then in the Falcon's case, he has to endure this treatment even though he has made a significant contribution to society. But check this out. At one time, I owned a comic shop. 2 locations, actually. For many years, I had to deal with bankers, loan officers, and everything that goes with it. When I got turned down for a bank loan, it was because my debt-to-income ratio wasn't great, or my credit score wasn't great. I never once considered the possibility that my race had anything to do with it. I understood how the system worked, and I understood that the system works that way for everybody. So when I was turned down, I never questioned it. But in this one scene, it manages to imply that the entire banking system is
racist.
And then there was the Isaiah Bradley thing. Isaiah Bradley was a black soldier who was experimented on and later erased from history. A black man fighting for America in the darkness and cover of the night. They didn't want to acknowledge the good things a black man could do for his country. They were embarrassed and ashamed of him, so they locked him up. Tuskegee Airmen and systemic systems and all that stuff. He was introduced in like 2006 or 2008 or something like that as a retcon. It was a way to take Captain America, who is widely referred to as the first Avenger, and make him the second to a black man. The whole thing was just ham-fisted in the comics and in the show. For Sam, it was supposed to highlight what it means to be a black hero in America. And that's what I keep saying. Is Captain America supposed to be a hero or a black hero? And like I said before, I never saw the Falcon as a black superhero until they forced me to see him that way. To me, he was just a hero, and a really good one. Then there was John Walker. Nobody liked this dude. Nobody. I hated this dude. And everybody went on the internet and expressed that exact opinion. You know what happened? Nothing. Everybody hated this dude as Captain America and said so loud and proud, and no one had a problem with it. You know why? Yeah, you know why. I have a whole video that's all about why it's okay to hate some characters, but it's not okay to hate other characters. If you have time, go to my channel and check it out, or I can link it in the description. I mean, we were free to say that we hated John Walker as Captain America all day long, and not one single person on the planet had an issue with that. But if we even suggested that Sam Wilson is not a good Captain America, then So then there was the terrorist thing, the flag smashers.
The terrorists only set us back a bit.
You have to stop calling them terrorists.
The Flag Smashers was said to operate in a morally gray area, but personally I wouldn't say that. There's right and there's wrong. They operated in the wrong. Nothing morally gray about that. Their methods are extreme, they resort to violence, they resort to terrorism. These are bad people, and they treated that ugly redhead chick like a holy figure. She knowingly killed innocent people and had no remorse. So what does Sam do? He sympathizes with them.
You have to stop calling them terrorists.
He defends them. He gets upset when she dies from events that she set into motion. I love that part, by the way. Very satisfying, like when Joffrey bit the dust on Game of Thrones. Anyway, none of that sounds like Captain America to me. You remember Captain America, right? Steve Rogers, the original Captain America? Steve embodied the ideals of courage, selflessness, and unwavering morality. He saw the world in terms of right and wrong. He was the perfect candidate for the mantle, not just because of his physical prowess, but because of his heart and unwavering commitment to doing what's right. His journey from a humble kid in Brooklyn to the iconic symbol of hope and justice was a testament to his character. Out of all the scenes in the MCU films, my favorite scene was the one at the end of Endgame. His shield was shattered, his teammates were down, they were defeated, and all hope was lost. Against all odds, going against an entire army and Thanos, he stood up to continue the fight. We all know what happened next, possibly the greatest climax of all time. But had the cavalry not arrived, I have no doubt that Steve Rogers would have taken on that entire army by himself with his last dying breath. That's who Steve Rogers is. By contrast, I think the Sam Wilson that was in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier would have called Thanos a
Racist.
cried about it, and then gone to Twitter and called everyone an incel. At least that's the way Malcolm Spellman wrote him. The thing is, this show highlighted a huge contrast between Steve Rogers' worldview and Sam Wilson's. Steve embodied a broad, inclusive vision of what it meant to be Captain America, transcending race and background to represent universal ideals. By contrast, Sam's journey is deeply rooted in his black experience, grappling with the systemic system, whatever. According to Malcolm Spellman's interpretation, for Sam Wilson, it was all about personal identity. This contrast raised questions about Sam Wilson's worthiness to be Captain America. This one dude in the comments on my last video suggested that I don't understand Captain America. But Captain America is for all people, and Captain America does not have a narrow worldview from a victimhood perspective. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier aimed to prove that Sam Wilson was worthy of the mantle of Captain America. But by highlighting Sam's narrow worldview and internal conflicts, the show did the exact opposite. Instead of showcasing his readiness, it emphasized his struggles and his doubts. The bottom line is, after the divisive nature of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's absolutely crazy that Malcolm Spellman was chosen to do Captain America 4. I'll admit, I do plan to see it, but I'll talk more about that in the next video. Make sure to hit the notification so you'll be the first to know when it goes up. Just a quick note, this is a 4-part series on the Falcon. Part 1 was uploaded yesterday. This is Part 2, 3 and 4 are coming soon. Make sure you check back. Anyway, that's it. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I
Racist?
Tell me all the reasons I'm an idiot in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, click notifications, and I will see you next time.